Hello and welcome back to another video, and today it is going to be year number 3 of the Habs rebuild, and today I'm starting at a different point than I normally do. Normally I show off my lines first after I do them, but as I got to my lines I noticed there's a bit of an issue here. I have Carey and Evans as my scratches. I planned on trading Carey in the off season to begin with. He's an 84. He just doesn't fit into our team anymore, especially with the way we have Reinbacker at an 84 as well. And Jake Evans just didn't fit into our lineup, and he's a 31-year-old, and he's an 83, so we're going to trade Jake Evans and Carey together to get the most out of a deal. And as I'm going through, a lot of these teams don't have enough cap space to take on this $8 million from the both of these guys. We're going to be clearing up. We already have $7 million, and we're going to be clearing up another $8 million in cap space to hopefully get somebody nice and young that will be able to contribute to our rebuild in the future. Jamie Drysdale is looking like a great option, but he is a right shot defenseman. You know, that is very appealing, especially to Montreal. He's a little smaller, though. He defensive pairing number 3 is what he's best listed in. Power play 2. I'm not sure I'm going to go with the Jamie Drysdale. I think I'm going to continue to look and just go out and get I wouldn't say a forward prospect, maybe some draft picks. Maybe somebody young that's already pretty much in the NHL that can sort of contribute into our bottom lines, like a not really anybody here, to be honest with you. We could go and get Sementov, first round pick, 9th overall, plays for Barrie. We could go out and get him. He does have an X factor and he will take some time to develop, but honestly, I think it'd be great to go out and get a guy like him. And clearly, that's not the only player we're going to be trading for. We're going to be trading just for a little AHL guy just to sit on the pint. And we'll take... Oh. So we have to do 2 players. Shall we reacquire Michael Fazzetta and leave him as a scratch in the AHL? I think that'll be the case. And all I'm going to do to sweeten up this is to add a 7th. Hopefully that'll go through. Still no. And this year, we don't really have very many draft picks in the next couple years. We've kind of been trading them away to get better. So to add a 4th round pick, that should get us... Oh, it does not. A 4th and a 6th, hopefully. Still does not. So we're going to be moving away from that. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, though, they do have quite a bit of younger players. We could go with Valier. He's got pressure, and he was pick number 11, but he is a defenseman. A left shot defenseman, though. Somebody who could develop. See, there's a big thing here with Pittsburgh and developing offensive players. Kendall looks good, so does Zoen. Bill Zoen is actually from Quebec. We could bring a hometown boy back to the team, which I think is going to be what we're going to do. And then we're just gonna go out and get a couple of AHL guys just so the contracts balance out. And we're gonna sign or trade for Kale Doc. Pretty sure he has 0 correlation to Kirby Doc, but that's a pretty cool thing. And we now have $13 million in cap space, which is amazing. And Now I'm going to get back to our lines, which our lines consist of for this year pretty much the same. And you're going to be like, hey, why is Josh Anderson playing? Why is Gallagher playing? I went to go insert or Jake Evans into that bottom line, and he just didn't fit with any sort of chemistry. And it's easier to have an 82 than an 81. As in, Josh Anderson's playing at an 82, and Gallagher's playing at an 83. And Adam Lowry's playing at an 85. If I inserted him for Josh Anderson, they were playing at a zero overall difference. So it's easier to have an overall gain than an overall no difference. Anyways, we have Ivan Demidov, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield again on that first line. We have Yuri Slafkovsky, Connor McMichael, and Zachary Bolduc on that second line. On the third line, we still have Sherwood, Doc, and now we added Bobby Brink. And then on that fourth line, we have Josh Anderson, Adam Lowry, and Brendan Gallagher. On defense, Lane Hudson and Noah Dobson with Reinbacker, Matheson, and Jack-Eye and Gooley. See, it would have made sense for us to go out and trade Jack-Eye, but due to the overall difference, but Arbor is a left shot defenseman, Carrier is a right shot defenseman, and Carrier was also just much older in a sense. And we have Jacob Fowler now at an 85, and Jordan Binnington, who he signed in the offseason, is at an 82. And our scratches are the three guys we just got, which we're going to be sending down to the minors. Now, this team lost in the first round last year. I'm really hoping that there can be some sort of a change. As in, we have cap space going to the deadline. We now got a prospect in Bilzon we could trade, and we could go out and look for a goaltender. But we also have Michael Hage, who's an 80, who will be making this team next year no matter what. As in, I don't think we'll be bringing back Josh Anderson next year. I don't think Adam Lowry will be coming back next year. And I most certainly think Gallagher will be playing for Montreal because he will play. He'll be a team for him to play to beat Montreal. Even though he's not really getting those points like he used to, he's not really. He's more of a 20 point to, well, 20-point scorer. He did have 30 in his first season, then 29, then 28, but he's scoring a solid 10 goals a season, which is good to keep on that fourth line. Sherwood, I would love to bring back, but if he's going to have a cap hit of $4.5 million, then please shy away. We do have tons of prospects. Our entire AHL team is pretty much players under the age of 25 years old, including defense. There is one 26-year-old, and that is Jaden Struble. But I'm going to catch you at the halfway point. I'm going to start simming, and I can't wait to see what this team does. And we're back at the trade deadline here, and as we see on the right-hand side, we are in that fourth wildcard position, and to be honest, the season started off very poorly for Montreal. Within our first couple games, we started out the season 0-5-2, and then proceeded to become 5-8-2 and ended up coming back and winning 35 games, 22 losses, and 6 overtime losses. This team is very big on overtime losses for some reason. I'm not too sure what it is. They push overtime quite a bit, but just can't get it done. As we see our team leader in points, we have Nick Suzuki at 57, Cole Caulfield at 50, and Bobby Brink at 48. This is great to see from Bobby Brink. We brought him in free agency, and he's honestly playing very, very well on that second line. Might even get a bump up to the first power play, as our power play fucking sucks again. Our power play is at one of the league lows of 13%. We have the 30th worst. We have the third worst power play in the league. Yet again, our power play stinks. And I did notice there was one thing I forgot to keep in the last 3 videos, and I didn't go through, or the last 2 videos, sorry, and I didn't go through the awards. So, Washington and Tampa Bay won. The President's Trophy was Tampa Bay and Colorado for the last 2 years. Vegas has made the finals twice and lost back-to-back years. Washington and Tampa Bay have both made it and won. And for the individual awards, McDavid's won the Art Ross, McDavid's won the Hart, Hedman's won the Norris, Point has won the Lady Byng, Ivan Demidov won the Calder, and then Matt Savoy won it last year. The Conn Smythe Trophy went to Ovechkin, then to Kucherov, the Vezina Shesterkin, then Blackwood, the Jennings, Montembeault won it last year, and Aiden Hill won it the year before, or the year last year. Montembeault won it 2 years ago. Mumble jumble coming from me. Perek won the Masterton, and then it was Trouba. Carnaby won 3 Jack Adams in a row. That is quite impressive. Sidney Crosby wins back-to-back Selke trophies. Again, McDavid sweeping, and Ovechkin and Pasternak for the Maurice Rocket Richard. I will make sure to add that again in for the end of this season, but when we're going into the trade deadline, honestly, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a difference to our power play, and there's something wrong with it, and I think I'm going to take Zachary Bolduc out of the power play and add in Bobby Brink. Bobby Brink's a playmaker. We'll keep him on that left side. Hopefully he can, kind of contribute more. And then Bobby Brink will get subbed out for Zachary Bolduc in the second power play. Bolduc does have X factors, but there's been something wrong with our power play, and I just want to see if this is where the issue is, where the issue really is. I am going to go make a trade though, of course, at the trade deadline. So maybe we could see there being a player that we can go out and get that bolstifies and provides a offensive role for our team. Like a Tyler Bertuzzi, because apparently he grew to an 89 overall. That is quite insane for Tyler Bertuzzi. 60 points this season in 62 games. Wow, I'm very impressed with that. But I will end this part off and come back when I've decided, or if I decide to make a trade or not. Of course, there's going to be tons of players I can go out and get, but I will cut it back to if I make a trade. And we're back, and I went through every single possible trade to make, and I looked, and Jordan Binnington isn't playing super, super well, but neither is Niels Kokkonen. And he is an 84 who just isn't getting games, and I feel like if we go and get him, we'll have a very young goalie tandem, and we'll have a chance to have one of the best goalie tandems in the future. Of course, he's on an expiring deal, so he'll want a new contract. The same along the lines of Jacob Fowler. For us, he'll be wanting a new contract as well at the end of the season. He's also playing very, very well. He's an 87 now, so we get a bolstified backup that can still grow, and that is a great trade to keep our goaltending elite. I'm going to cut back to see if I end up making a trade for a forward or not, but we will see. I'll be back if I am, or I'll show you what our goaltending tandem looks like after. Alright, so I've kept the forward lines the exact same, besides I switched Slav and Bolduc. I switched them sides to see if maybe Slav can grow a little bit, being on his dominant side. I've kept every line the same defensively. But there is one thing I did do is I did change who gets the puck, who finishes, to maybe see if Bobby Brink can go up in overall a little bit more. I do think he will be signed. I do think I'll sign him. And then our power play 2, Bolduc is now on it. Slav is going to be our finisher. Sherwood's going to be down low, getting the puck. And then we have Connor McMichael still and Dobson up high. I would honestly just love to see our power play grow to maybe even just being 15th or 25th or even 20th, really. I just really need to see some growth out of that. But besides for that, we're going to be heading to the end of the season and hopefully we can finish out strong. I would love to see a strong finish and just really get to see the team develop a little bit more with their chemistry. Um, really just hope that we can make the playoffs. Hoping we can get that third position in the Atlantic so we're not playing a wild card against one of the better teams. Um, we will in the second round, but I'm hoping to get that third spot and hopefully carry out a win streak into the playoffs. We have played Toronto, sorry, 3 times in the last 2 weeks on our schedule. And to get just any win is big. Trying to get out of a wild card spot and into that third spot in the Atlantic is huge. And dropping games is not really needed, especially when we're dropping games 3 in a row. Hopefully, maybe 4 in a row. Wow, we haven't won a game in 5 in a row. We might not even make the playoffs as we speak. That's a win. Finish out the season with the win, and we clinch in the very last game of the regular season, which is nice to clinch a playoff spot, but we are now going to have to go up against the New York Rangers, who have 122 points. And at the end of this year's season, honestly, would just be great to see that our power play did a little bit better in the later half. Nobody was a point a game again this year. Bobby Brink didn't even do as much as he did with being the main finisher. Lane Hudson ended up finishing with 58 points. Cole Caulfield took a little bit of a downgrade with 65. Ivan Demidov with 57. Noah Dobson with 48. Bolduc with 45. Sherwood with 43. And McMichael with 38. Our leader in goals was Caulfield, Brink, and Sherwood. And in net, none other than Fowler, who played 65 games for us, 34 wins, 22 losses, 5 overtime losses, 3 shutouts, and a 9-10. Coco, way wrong, um, but he had 5 wins, 14 losses. Hopefully he can, be a spark for us when he does play in games. I feel like that is in the latter half of the stretch, kind of why we were losing those games. But you can't blame one player, you gotta blame the team, and let's hope that we can squeak out a playoff win. I mean, it'd be very, very surprising if we do. I'd be exhilarated to see if we did or not. Also gonna check in on the AHL team just to kind of see how they're doing before we start our playoff run. And they are also not really doing the best analytically. They are fourth, which they are possibly going to make the playoffs, potentially in a wild card, but I do doubt that. I'm pretty sure it's only 7 teams that make it, if I am not mistaken. And Hage led the team in points, so he will be making an appearance in Montreal next year. It's just a matter of if it's opening night deadline. Either way, simming the first 3 games of the playoffs, game number 1 in New York is a 5-4 overtime win. That is a great way to start the series off. Another win, a 4-3 overtime win, and a 4-2 win. And we are going to go into game 4 at the Bell Center and simulate this game just to see if we end up winning. It would be a wonderful experience to see this team win. I do really doubt we win. Game is now in overtime, and we are slowly simming at only 4x speed. We're on the power play, and we probably don't get anything done because our power play is still horrendous. Going to change it to 8k speed, and we win the 4 games. We win in overtime, and Montreal is moving on to the second round in a clean sweep. and the only sweep so far, and it's against the best team in the league. Now, if that doesn't say anything, then I don't know what does. Honestly, I would love to see us play Philadelphia now and Bobby Brink have his revenge game, his revenge series, and go out there and try to just make it to the conference finals again. Would be great. Would be fantastic to see. And we are playing the Philadelphia Flyers. And honestly, this has been such a great start to this rebuild. I'm so amazed that we've gotten so far throughout the playoffs as we have. In game number 1 against Philadelphia, it is a 3-1 win. Game 2 is a 3-2 overtime loss, and game 3 is a 4-1 loss. And game 4 at the Bell Center, they lose. This is a win or go home game. We're down 3-1. Will we squeak out a win? And we do not, and we are a second round exit in 5 games. Tampa Bay will be playing Philadelphia. Hopefully, we can see a Canadian team win a cup, as there are two playing. Hopefully, Dallas and Winnipeg can both win and both head to the Stanley Cup Finals. Unfortunately, we are second round exits, though, which is very, very unfortunate. But we did make a lot of growth sweeping the best team in the league, and the Winnipeg Jets win the Stanley Cup. That is great to see, and I will go to. Oh, I went already past it. I will go check the awards just so everybody is aware. Winnipeg won. We beat the President's Trophy. Winnipeg, Clarence S., and they played the Philadelphia Flyers. It's good to see that, we pretty much almost could have won the cup. The team that made it to the finals, that beat us. It's pretty good to see. It's a good result. Connor McDavid wins his third straight Art Ross. Kucherov wins the Hart. Norris goes to Fox. Lady Byng goes to Kucherov. Calder goes to LaSalle. Morrissey wins the Conn Smythe. Spencer Knight wins the Vezina. That's good to see. Jennings goes to Stolarz and Wall. Masterton goes to Larson. Jack Adams goes to Everson. 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 Wyatt Johnson wins the Selke, and Connor McDavid wins the Ted Lindsay, with the Maurice Richard going to Pasternak again. Now we're going to head straight to the draft. I'm not going to, pause or switch straight to it, because there it is. There's the draft lottery results. We don't have any picks, of course, because we haven't traded for a first round pick just yet. The retired players as well. Artemi Panarin retires. Does he win a Stanley Cup? He does not win a Stanley Cup. All he wins is the Calder. At 87 overall, Corey Perry retires in Florida. That's a very interesting spot. Jonathan Toews retires in Minnesota as well. Chris Letang retires, but he retires in none other than Pittsburgh. Mikko Granlund, who we were looking at into trading into, retires at the end of the year. Spurgeon retires in Tampa Bay. That is a very interesting thing. He did not win a Stanley Cup, though. Lars Eller retires, Habs legend. Zizekas retires, Sherry retires, Ellis, Tanev, Dowd, Cole, Gustafson, McNabb, and the other Tanev, Hathaway, Corrali, Miller, Colin Miller, Barclay Goodrow, Luke Lundell, Nosek, Hutton, Larson. A lot of decent players are retiring. Hopefully, we have a decent pick in this year's draft. Um, it probably won't be too high or too late. We're picking at pick 19, so we're going to swim straight to pick 19, and we're going to look at the first 5 picks, of course, because they should all be medium elites. Medium elite high elite Schultz, medium elite, medium elite, and top 6 forward. And there was another medium elite that went pick 8 that fell. And another one that fell at pick 11 to Dallas, defenseman. Hopefully we can get a decent player here. Of course, we're probably going to be looking for a forward prospect, probably a bigger forward prospect, and like a Nolan Reed or a pretty much a Nolan Reed. I do not believe that stock is the guy that we want. Um, he's got 3 years, and Dowell, or not Dowell, Nolan Reed only has 2. We're going to pick Nolan Reed, a right winger, 66 overall, medium, top 6, and as it looks, pretty much a pretty decent pick there. Stock falls, he's a 66, so pretty much everybody here was a 66, 67. Pretty good pick right there. Sending to pick number 2, I'm going to see if I can make a trade here. Um, Obviously, there's going to be players on expiring deals that we can go out and trade for. And if we can go out and trade for a guy on an expiring deal with no extension, like a Cutter Gauthier, go out and sign him, bring him in, and have him play. Or even get a guy like Minikov, who does have an extension, very pricey extension, so probably not. Or a guy in Mason McTavish who has 4 years making a ton of money, so never mind as well. We'll look at Cutter Gauthier, and we'll see if that second round pick is enough. If not, we can trade our 6th as well, and even a player who will fill his spot. So we'll just go out and get a guy like a Liam Ruck, who I just don't think is going to fit in our rebuild anymore. I just don't think he'll fit in the rebuild anymore at that, and we still need to give up one more actual player in the organization, and that's going to be Riley Kidney. I've fully given up on Riley Kidney a couple years ago, but fully now, and we're just going to add in a 3rd round pick just to sweeten the deal, and Cutter Gauthier is going to be a Montreal Canadian. We do, not including the cap space we're going to get from getting rid of Josh Anderson and hopefully Kirby Dach staying on the same deal. Hopefully Lowry maybe staying. If not, we will let him go. And hopefully Sherwood as well. If not, we will also have to let him go. There's just a ton of guys giving us cap space. But that is going to be it for this draft. And I will sim to the re-sign phase. And I'll come back to when all the players are actually. Alright, we're back at free agency. I kind of completely forgot to show the, just kind of like the signings we made. We ended up deciding to release Lowry and Sherwood. They both were on super team-friendly deals, but I just couldn't get it to work with the cap because we signed Kirby Dach and Bobby Brink to very cheap deals. We also re-signed Ryan Backer to a very cheap deal as well. Um, we also had signed another player to a cheap deal, and Coco. I'm gonna call him Coco. I'm not too sure how you actually pronounce his name. And then the RFAs, we still have Cutter Gauthier, who is wanting $7 million, 6 or 7, sorry, $7 million, and we have Jacob Fowler, who's still, he wants just way too much, and I'm just not sure I'm ready to give that to an 87 overall. He's still very young. He still has tons of time to grow. I just don't want to keep all that cap space locked up. I did offer Cutter Gauthier a contract. Our assistant coach decides to accept. Our associate coach decides to accept. And that is it. Or I guess not really. We assigned a goalie coach as well. Cutter Gauthier decides to 4th of July to all the fellow Americans. But in net, we still have to get Jacob Fowler. And to be honest with you, I'm willing to do pretty much something along the lines of this. If he decides to accept 11 million, but for 90% trade protection, so he's only allowing 4 teams or 3 teams to be in his trade clause. He immediately accepts. That is fantastic. And unfortunately, we can try and go out and make another signing. We have 7 million in cap space now. I'm not sure if we're gonna leave it. We could go out and get Capo Kakinen. So Kokinen, as I'm thinking, is how you pronounce it. I'm not too sure. Don't wanna judge, but he's not asking for too much. So right-handed, but I think I'm just going to let the lines roll how they, should be rolling. And I think that's going to be it. I'm going to start from a new point and I'm going to sim throughout the playoffs. I'm going to sim throughout the entire offseason here and show you the line, not show you the lines, but show you who's going to be in the NHL. I'm not going to do the lines, but I'm going to show you who's in the NHL and show you who's going to probably be playing in the AHL. Probably not, though, because I do tend to make a couple of changes to the AHL teams so they have the prospects I want to develop developing where I want them and how I want them to develop. Um, but going forward, this off season, the season was a step in the right direction. We made it out of the first round, unlike last year. We tend to have a little bit of an issue, or I shouldn't say tend to. We come playing up against hot teams constantly, so it kind of makes it hard in a sense. Um, but this season, I'm going to try and get Uri Slafkovsky to develop as much as possible. He's only an 84, and I don't know how to get him much higher than that. He doesn't really have chemistry with the Suzuki line, so I don't really know what I'm going to be doing there. Obviously, Connor McMichael, but Zachary Bolduc is starting to kind of trail off, and I noticed in another rebuild I did earlier this year, I gave him a big contract, and then he decided to fall off a cliff. He was a 90 overall, and then he dropped down to an 82. I gave him consistent time, I gave him consistency, like a lot of consistent time on ice, but I'm not sure what I should do with Zachary Bolduc. I'm not sure if I should go out and trade him or if I should keep him kind of rolling. Um, Bill Zotton gonna make the NHL this year. That's great to see. I'm just not really too sure where I want to keep Gauthier now. Gauthier kind of leaves us in a little bit of an interesting position with the overall rankings of this team. Um, At the end of the year, Matheson's contract's up, and I might give him a little 2-year deal or something along those lines, something short. In net, we still have Fowler, who grew to an 89, so it's making his contract look a lot better. And if we ever have an issue, we can just ship him away for pennies, pretty much, to any of those teams. But I really do doubt it. He's very good. Um, as well as Niels Kokkonen. Hopefully he can start to play a little bit better than he has been, but to be honest with you, that is going to be the end of this year's video. Um, Thank you again for tuning into another one of my videos. I really do appreciate it. And um, that is really going to be it. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, subscribe. Let me know how you felt in the comments. Let me know if you liked it, what I should have done better, who should be in the starting lineup for next year. And just wanted to say thanks for watching and see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day or evening. See ya.